What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Footballer's Advice. In today's video, I wanted to go over how to make a professional soccer resume. Having a soccer resume is something a player must have if they want to become a professional soccer player. More than likely, whenever you contact an agent, a coach, a scout, or anyone else, they will ask for this information along with any video highlights that you may have. A resume gives the person reading it all the information that they need to know about you as a player. This includes all of your contact information and then also what club teams you've played for in the past. By having a professional looking soccer resume prepared, it could be the difference between a professional coach or a scout giving you an opportunity. Having a resume also serves as a great marketing tool because when you send it out to individuals around the world, you never know who it's going to reach. By providing your information, anyone around the world who is interested in you can contact you about any opportunities that they may have. Now, there are many different ways and templates in which you can create a professional looking soccer resume. However, in this video, I outline how I've created mine. The reason why I would recommend following my template is because after sending it out to a bunch of clubs and then also other individuals around the world, I received a lot of positive feedback from it. This includes teams here in the United States, whether it be USL teams, US agents, and then also scouts overseas in Europe. So how do you create a professional looking soccer resume? Well, to start, I break up how to create a soccer resume in 5 different sections, and the order in which I list these sections is something you should follow. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
Alright guys, so here is my resume that I've created and the template that I think that you guys should use when you want to send it out to professional teams, coaches, agents, and scouts. What I'm going to do first is actually scroll through the whole resume, and if you want to pause the video at any time, that way you can see a little bit more detailed information on things, definitely go ahead and do that. But just going to first, like I said, scroll through, that way you guys can see everything, and then dive a little bit deeper and kind of discuss in more detail how I think you guys should structure it, why I think you guys should put certain information in and things like that. But the first thing that I want you guys to notice is that my resume is in a PDF file. Now, when you first start and you want to create your resume, you actually want to do this on a Word document like I have here. So once you create everything and you have all the information that you want here on your Word document, what you then should do, or what I would recommend doing, is actually export it into a PDF file. And the reason is because if we look, for instance, right here at season on the PDF file, if I wanted to go ahead and try to edit and change, this word or any other information here, like I'm going to go ahead and try to delete, I'm going to try to type extra information, I can't do that. And as you can see here with the Word document, again with season, I can definitely go ahead and change any information on the document. But when you send it out, you want to send your resume out in a PDF file. That way no information can be changed. I wouldn't send it out, your resume out in a Word document for that reason, because anyone can change the information. It could be altered at any time. With a PDF file, that doesn't allow it to happen. So what you would do when you have created your resume within the Word document and you want to make it into a PDF file, you want to go up here to the upper left hand corner. You want to click File, and then you want to go all the way down to Export. Once you click on Export, you'll see Create PDF Document, and then you want to click on this button right here. And what will happen is when you click this button, all this information on your Word document will then go to your PDF document, and all the information will be the same. It will still be structured in the same way that you created your Word document. Like I said, the only difference is that you can't edit it. So if you guys want to do that, that's something I would recommend. By no means do you have to do it, but like I said, it's something that I've done just to make sure that all the information there is correct, and like I said, no one can edit it. So as I discussed earlier, guys, I break down creating a resume in 5 sections. So let me go ahead and break down every section, go through it with you, list all the details, and then just kind of go from there. So the first section that we have is right here, and this is your contact information section. What you want to do is provide your full name. That way, if clubs want to do any research on you through the internet, they can do that. They could find any information that they want. And then with that, underneath your full name, you want to provide, if you have it, your own website. What I will also do is create another video on how to actually make your own website for free. I found it to be a great marketing tool as well. What I usually do is in the body of my email when I'm sending it out to teams or agents or even scouts, I'll provide a link to my website, which, as you guys can see over here, it contains a file of my resume. That way they can view it there as well, and my resume will also be attached in the email. So either way, if the attachment doesn't work, they can always go to the link and find my resume that way. And then you can also provide a link on your website that links to YouTube, where they can see all of your highlight videos. So this is why I find, having a website is actually really beneficial. That way, yeah, like I said, they can find all your information in one place. And then also what I would do, guys, is in your contact information section, provide your email. And the email that you provide, guys, should be professional. It should be your first and last name at whatever Hotmail, Gmail, or whatever other email that you guys use. Now, in another video that I'll make, I'll show you guys why I think you guys should have a Gmail account. There's certain things that you can do with Gmail that I found to be really beneficial that saves you a lot of time and energy when you're writing emails. So like I said, it's totally up to you guys, but make sure at the very least that this email is professional. It shouldn't be any crazy name. Again, guys, remember, you're sending this out to professional coaches, scouts, and agents. So you need to take it seriously and you need to be professional about it. So like I said, I'd have my first and last name at whatever.com. That's how you should structure your email. Also, as well, if you guys want to email me at Footballers Advice, feel free to do so. And then what I would do is also provide your phone number, where you also have your international calling code. I found this to be beneficial as well, because here in the US it's +1. And if you want to, connect with someone through WhatsApp or even through your iPhone and they're overseas, you want to add the international calling code. That way, when you're texting them and they're outside of the country that you live in, I found it to be easier for the iPhone to recognize the number. So that way when you're texting back and forth, WhatsApp and the iPhone can actually understand who they're actually contacting overseas. So like I said, that's why I would provide your phone number as well. That way anyone can get in contact with you. So that wraps up section 1 for your resume. And then we're going to move on here to section 2, where it's your personal information. You should, one, provide a really nice looking picture of yourself. What I usually do is wear a jersey of a team that I've played for in the past or the current team that I'm playing for. Make sure, guys, that this picture is crisp, it's clear. I took this on my iPhone, which is just fine. Just make sure that the resolution and the picture quality is nice. That way they can see who you are. And like I said, you want to make sure that, make sure in the background too you don't have any crazy stuff going on. It should be a professional looking photo. And then underneath that, this is where you provide your personal information. This is where you want to provide your date of birth, your height, weight, position, and passport. Now, let's go ahead and start here with date of birth. You want to list your date of birth in this format, where I have it as month, day, and year. You don't want to put, over here age and then put 23 years old, because here's the thing, guys. If I were to send this out to teams a year from now, 2 years from now, I'm no longer 23 years old. I'm actually 24 or 25. So when you put your birth date in this format, no matter when the coach looks at your resume, they can always figure out how old you are at that moment. So you want to put it like this, like I said, that way they can figure out how old you are. And that way it's not like, oh, I received this a year ago from him. Is he actually 23 now, or was he 23 back then when he sent it? This leaves out all of the confusion. So then moving on to your height and weight. You see that I've listed things here in feet and inches, and then also in centimeters. And then also weight here, I have it in pounds and kilograms. The reason why I do this is because in the US, they use feet and inches to measure your height, and then they also use pounds to measure how much you weigh. Now, in Europe and the rest of the world, they actually use kilograms and centimeters. Centimeters to measure your height, and kilograms to measure your weight. So if you're sending this to people around the world, whether it be in Europe or other parts, or even teams here in the US, I would provide the information and I would do the calculation or the conversion when you start building your resume. That way, it's easy for the club or the coach or the scout or agent, whoever it may be, to look at it and understand in their metric system how, like I said, how tall you are or how much you weigh. Your resume is supposed to be it's supposed to be easy enough for people just to read and understand and get better information of who you are as a player. So that's why I would actually provide both things here. So then moving on to your position, I'm a midfielder, and I also listed where I can play as a midfielder, which is center mid, right mid, and left mid. Now, if you're, for instance, a defender and you're a center back, then you can put here defender and then also CB. If you do play a right back or a left back position, you can list that. However, if you're just a center back, just put CV or CB. So that pretty much wraps up that position as well. But you also want to, the reason why you want to list your position is that way teams can understand how you're going to fit within their team in terms of what position you play and if they need a player in your position. So that's why I would recommend listing that as well. Now, the last thing in terms of your personal section for section 2, I list the passports that you hold, and I recommend that you guys do this as well. I think this is one of, if not the most important part of your resume, because when you list the passports that you hold, teams can find out if you will be a domestic or foreign player. And if you guys don't know, being a domestic player is very beneficial. One of the things that is beneficial about being a domestic player is the fact that, one, the team that wants you or wants to sign you doesn't have to fill out a bunch of paperwork and make sure that they get a work permit or a work visa for you and deal with all that legal information that they have to deal with. They also don't have to deal with, in some countries, like in Sweden, if you're a foreign player, then you have to make 3 times as much in salary as a domestic player. So if you're a domestic player, you also don't have to legally be required to be paid as much as a foreign player. And sometimes, guys, as I've noticed with talking with other people and then also when I was over in Europe, sometimes the difference between you getting picked up and signed with the team and you not is being a domestic or foreign player, because some teams just don't have the money or the resources to pay a foreign player. So guys, if you do have any passports, if you're a dual passport holder, put down both. If you just have one passport, put that passport. But either way, I think it's really beneficial to list that, and that way teams can say, okay, we can see that this guy's a domestic player. So that kind of wraps up section 2 of the resume, and we're going to move on to section 3. Section 3 is right here, and this is where you want to list your club history. What you want to do is list the prior clubs that you've played for in the past, and then you also want to list what years you played with them. So for instance, this one, Mersta IK, I was playing with them in 2017, and then IFK Lidingö, I was playing with them in 2016. And then what I'll also do here is scroll down a little bit more, that way you guys can see this. And also in this section, I've put trial opportunities with teams. That's something you guys can list. Section 3 and Section 4 of the resume, I've noticed a lot of players, this is where they get creative. This is where you kind of have a little bit more flexibility to put what you want to make your information or you as a player stand out. So as you guys can tell here too, I've also listed my college team and the years that I played with them. So really, I mean, with this, you just want to list any information that's relevant to the club. For instance, here, like I'll put, people that I've played with, where they've played, so maybe teams can get a better understanding of what the level was like at that team, and kind of maybe who I am as a player when you've played with other individuals that have played at a high level. Even for here, IFK Lidingö, I put, we earned promotion from Division 3 to Division 2. That's something you want to list as well. Really, like I said, this kind of differs from player to player, what they want to put. In this section 2, you can also put games played, games started, any goals that you had, assists. I would list that information here as well if you want to, but totally up to you as a player. And like I said too, sometimes it makes sense to put trial opportunities. I know some players that incorporate this into their resume, some players don't. For me, when I was sending this out to teams in Sweden, this is something I decided to put in it. That way they could understand, okay, who is he trialed with in the past? What level were they at? That kind of gives teams a better understanding of who I am as a player and what level I can play at. In terms of what teams were interested in me. So Section 3, guys, like I said, is kind of up to you on how you want to structure it, but you just kind of want to make it stand out with any information that you have that's relevant to the team, like maybe who you've played with. Any of your stats is a really good thing to put on here as well. Like I said, games played, goals scored, assists, things like that. And then maybe any other teams that you've played against while you've played for that team. That's also something that you could put down as well. So that actually wraps up Section 3 now, guys, and we're going to move on to Section 4. Now, like I said earlier, Section 3 and Section 4 is where you can kind of get creative in terms of what you want to do. You can see some overlap here in Section 4 where I have put, and I've listed again, that in 2016 with IFK Lidingö, we earned a promotion to Division 2. You can list it twice. You could only list it in one section, but the fourth section is where you want to list more so your achievements either individually or with the team. So if you've won any Player of the Year awards, any Man of the Match awards, if your team was promoted from one division to the next division, list that. Like I said, this is more so personal and team achievements that you've reached, and then Section 3 up here can be a little bit more information about the team, kind of what the level is like, and things like that. But for Section 4, like I said, you want to list your achievements here. This is where you stand out from players, and you can say, hey, look, I was able to win this award during this year, or I was able to help my team win a championship or get promoted. Whatever it may be, guys, this is where you want to list it in your achievement section in Section 4. So that kind of wraps it up there as well. And then we want to move on to the last section, Section 5, which is your references. Now, as you can see here, it's good to put a head coach. However, if you want to list an assistant coach or anyone else that will pretty much just give a recommendation to a club if they want more information about you, and maybe they want to call someone who has seen you play in the past, you want to list anyone down here that will just give a positive recommendation about you. But what I would mention though, guys, too, is before you put someone down as your reference, make sure that you contact them beforehand and ask if you can put them down. That way they just have a heads up and they'll understand why teams are contacting them and asking them about you. I think that's beneficial to do that. That way, like I said, they're not caught off guard and they know that they are a reference for you. But like I said, head coach, assistant coach, any sort of mentor, like I said, any person that is going to give you a positive reference. As you guys can also tell, I don't list their contact information here. You don't need to, because if a club is interested and they want to contact other people that you have listed here in your references section for Section 5, they should go ahead and send you an email that requests that information. So that way then in the follow-up email you can send them any information that they want on a head coach or an assistant head coach that you have listed. So that kind of wraps it up, guys. That's Section 5, your references. And that kind of wraps up your resume. As you guys can also tell too, I want to point out one other thing. My resume is 1 page long. This is how long your resume should be as well. It should be no more than 1 page. So if it's anything more, make sure that you condense everything. You have to then, just maybe have to rewrite information. That way it fits all on 1 page. But like I said, 1 page and 1 page only. And one other thing that I'd like to mention as well, guys, is the last team that I have here is from 2013 when I played for my college team, and that was 5 years ago. The most you want to have is going back 5 years from now. So 4 to 5 years is a good time frame to list any past club teams that you've played for, any colleges that you've played for. really anything more than that I think is unnecessary, rather than going back all the way and listing all the clubs that you've played for since you were U9. A coach really isn't interested in that. They just want a snapshot of your background and where you've played in the last couple of years. To go back any farther than that, when you think about it, guys, think about the player you were 4 or 5 years ago from now. I mean, you're a much different player. So, to go back more than 4 to 5 years, I think is too much. Plus, you have to make sure that you also have enough information to fill up this section, but you don't want so much information that you can't fit your achievements and references in one page as well. So just keep that into consideration. So that wraps up today's video, guys, on how to make a soccer resume and soccer CV. This is the template that I would recommend you guys use. And also, sorry, one last thing. As you guys can tell, I maximize the amount of space that I have on one page for a resume. I know a lot of other players, they have a lot of white space within their resume. It is up to you if you want to have a lot of white space, but like I said, I like to maximize the amount of information that I can give people to just make myself stand out. So I think the more information you have, it can be the better. However, you do want to make sure that it is still professional looking and it's not, there's just information everywhere. You want to have structure to it. So yeah, that's why I say you should follow this template. I think it looks professional, and I've gotten a lot of great responses from teams about my resume in terms of how it looks. So yeah, guys, so that wraps up today's video on how to make a resume, and kind of go from there.
So as you guys can tell, having a professional soccer resume is critical in order for teams to take you seriously. Just like applying for a job, having a resume is standard, and the same is true within the soccer industry. By clearly providing what teams you have played for in the past and then also your contact information, clubs are more willing to bring you in and give you an opportunity than a random player who just shows up and asks for a trial. And like I said earlier, guys, having a resume is a great marketing tool because it gives clubs all the information they need to know about you, and you can tailor your information to make you stand out from other players. Having a soccer resume also saves you a lot of time and explanation when you're writing emails to coaches, scouts, or agents. A lot of times you can keep your message short and concise with referring them to see your resume that's attached in the email. And with that being said, that wraps up today's video, guys, on how to make a professional soccer resume. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That way you can check out more great videos like this one here in the future, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.